Alrighty, our 2022 mock draft. Unfortunately, it's not 1 through 32. It's just 1 through 10 this year because that would take a long time, and I probably wouldn't be able to release it if it was 1 through 32. But this year, it's going to be top 10. We will have trades involved. We have a few, but at number 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars do have the selection, and they are not going to trade the number 1 pick. They're going to settle with Aiden Hutchinson. And really, it's not necessarily settling, but Aiden Hutchinson is the best available player, even though the Jags, let's be honest, they need a lot of help, especially on the offensive line, but I think they will go with the best available. A lot of experts say Aiden Hutchinson is the best available, and I agree with them. I don't think the Jaguars will trade out of the number 1 pick, so again, with the number 1 pick in the draft, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will take Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. So that is the number 1 pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the number 1 pick, end up taking Aiden Hutchinson. With the number 2 pick in the draft, we have a trade. The Carolina Panthers trade from number 2 with the Detroit Lions. Now, this one gets a bit tricky, but I do think of course, the Lions have the number 2 pick, but I think the Carolina Panthers will trade up with the Lions and take Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty. Now, this might be a bit of a stretch, but the Panthers need a franchise quarterback, and clearly Sam Darnold is not the answer. Willis is the number 1 quarterback according to most experts, and I also agree with them. Matt Rule finally gets his quarterback out of the future, or most likely. If it doesn't work out, Rule is definitely going to be fired next season. But the Panthers end up selecting Malik Willis with the 2nd pick after trading 4 spots up. And of course, I'm not really sure what they would trade exactly, but they'd probably have to at least trade the 1st round pick and probably some other draft picks as well. Now, with the number 3rd pick in the draft, the Houston Texans, similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars and I guess the Detroit Lions too, they have a lot of needs. So again, in my opinion, the Jaguars will either will probably just take the best available. In my opinion, it's either Travion Walker out of Georgia or Kavion Thibodeau out of Oregon. This was a really hard decision, but I think the Jaguars will go with Walker instead of Thibodeau. Walker has a chance of winning, or has a chance of going number 1 with the Jaguars, but I think Aiden Hutchinson will go over him. The Texans do have the number 13th pick as well, so maybe there's a chance that Thibodeau falls to number 13. The Texans would get 2 really good pass rushers. I know it sounds strange to get 2 pass rushers in the draft, but the Texans, again, have so many needs. So with the number 3rd pick in the draft, the Houston Texans select Travion Walker, and a lot of people said the Texans could be thinking about a quarterback, but I think they're going to roll with Davis Mills for 1 more year. He had a pretty solid year, especially toward the end of the year. Now the New York Jets are on the clock. The Jets have a lot of needs as well, but they need to help Zach Wilson out. So they should either take a wide receiver or an offensive lineman. Evan Neal from Alabama is available, but Drake London and Garrett Wilson are also available. So I currently believe the New York Jets will select Drake London, the wide receiver out of USC. They would give Zach Wilson a reliable target to throw to, and let's be honest, the Jets really have no pass catchers on that roster. They lost Jamison Crowder, and they currently really only have 1 receiver that I can think of, and it's Corey Davis, and he's not the best either. So again, I think they will end up selecting Drake London with the 4th pick. They also have the number 10th pick as well, so stay tuned. Now on the clock is the New York Jets' neighbors, the New York Giants. The New York Giants have a new coach, Brian Daboll, and also have a new GM in Joe Shane. The Giants have some needs as well, but I believe they will select the best corner in this draft and take Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. Now, I know this is kind of crazy for the Giants to take a cornerback, but some scouts believe Gardner is the best available in the draft. We will see, but the Giants have taken the best corner in this draft, and I know they could have probably taken an offensive lineman, but they do have the 7th pick. We'll see what happens. I think Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback for 1 more year, unless they decide to trade for Daniel Jones. So, again, I think with the number 5th overall, or not trading for Daniel Jones, they end up trading for Baker Mayfield, but we'll see what ends up happening. But I think the Giants end up taking Sauce Gardner, the best corner in the draft. Now with the 6th pick, the Detroit Lions, they traded down with the Panthers. And so again, the Lions traded down from number 2 to 6. A lot of people think they would take the best available, which would be Thibodeau out of Oregon. However, I think they will go on the offensive side, and let's be honest, Jared Goff is not the future quarterback for the Lions. They really need a quarterback, in my opinion. They only met with 1, and that was Pittsburgh's Kenny Pickett. Might be a smokescreen, but some believe Pickett is better than Willis. So with the number 6 pick in the draft, the Lions select their future quarterback in Kenny Pickett, and maybe next year they can get rid of Jared Goff's horrible contract. Besides, the Lions can still rock with Goff for at least 1 more year while having Kenny Pickett as their future. So With the number 6 pick in the draft, I had the second quarterback taken, and Kenny Pickett going to the Lions to be their franchise quarterback, and maybe he can do what Stafford never could do, and that was win, or at least win a playoff game. Now, the number 7th pick, the Giants are back on the clock. They traded their 7th overall pick from the Bears, or they got the 7th overall pick from the Bears last year after Chicago traded up to get Justin Fields. So with the 7th pick, the Giants select Evan Neal, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. They do have Andrew Thomas, but they need more than one offense. They won't need more than one good offensive lineman, and why not take the best offensive lineman available? They can help protect Daniel Jones and maybe give some running room for Saquon Barkley, and maybe Barkley can do what he did in his rookie year and have a really good year and maybe even stay healthy, which he has not done since his rookie year. So with the 5th overall pick, they select Sauce Gardner, and with the 7th overall pick, they select Evan Neal. So they take one on the offensive side and one on the defensive side of the ball. Now the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. They're next up, and I think they do need a quarterback, but I think they will wait until later in the first round and trade back into the draft. And with the 8th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select not Calvin Ridley. They lost Calvin Ridley, of course, but they select Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. After losing Calvin Ridley for the entire year, they basically only have Kyle Pitts and maybe Cordell Patterson as pass catchers. Garrett Wilson is still available, so why not take him here and maybe get your future franchise quarterback later in the round? But I think the Falcons end up selecting Garrett Wilson with the 8th overall pick. Now that leaves the Seattle Seahawks with the 9th pick. They traded the 9th pick, or they traded Russell Wilson, their franchise quarterback, to the Denver Broncos this past offseason. And one of those trades, or one of the things they got back was the 9th overall pick. However, the Seattle Seahawks don't necessarily like drafting this high, and I think they're going to wait on a quarterback for at least one more year. I think they're going to see how good Drew Lock is. Drew Lock is definitely not the franchise quarterback, but stranger things can happen, right? But I think they'll decide to trade down to get more selections. And another team with the need of a quarterback is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's be honest, Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph will not solve their quarterback problem. They're in a great division with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and they're also in Deshaun Watson. You can't forget about him, right? So they need a quarterback, and they have a great team, but the one thing they're really missing is a quarterback. So again, I think they end up trading up to get Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. That might be a little bit early, but I think Matt Corral can be the answer, and he can even be on the bench depending on how good Trubisky and Rudolph play this season. But I think Trubisky is not the franchise quarterback. I'm not sure he's even the starting quarterback for the first 5 games of the year. I think it's going to end up being Matt Corral. I think he goes number 9 overall. That's who the Pittsburgh Steelers select. And to round out the top 10, the New York Jets are back on the clock. Now, they selected a wide receiver, and a lot of people said they would take an offensive lineman, but this might not be a popular pick, but I think the New York Jets end up selecting Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame. They haven't had a good safety since they traded Jamal Adams to the Seahawks 2 years ago. With this pick, I think they finally solved their problem by taking Kyle Hamilton, the best safety in this draft. We'll see how it works. Not sure how good he's going to be, but I think he's going to be very good, and I think he's going to be a nice replacement for Jamal Adams. And that is it for the 2022 STP mock draft video. I wanted to do the entire round, but I ran out of time. Hope you enjoyed this year's mock draft. And I hope you also enjoy this year's 2022 NFL draft. It's going to be fun. Can't wait.